Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 2025 Colour Forecast by Dulux, our major national partner here at the Institute of Architects. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Michael Linke, General Manager of Membership here at the Institute, and it's my very great pleasure to welcome our annual program that we always do every year, the wonderful Andrea Lucina, or the Colour and Communications Manager at Dulux, who's going to take us through the 2025 Colour Forecast. So, Andrea, over to you. Great to have you with us.
Thank you so much, Michael, and thanks for having me, everyone. It's always an exciting time of the year for us to launch our Dulux Colour Forecast. And of course, this year is our 2025 Dulux Colour Forecast. So without any further chatter, I will continue, and hopefully we will excite you in the world of colour and inspire you and your clients to use a little bit more colour. So with the world in the state of uncertainty, the lingering effects of the pandemic, obviously an economic downturn, and a continual connection to the digital world, many of us are feeling a tad overwhelmed. There has never been a greater need to slow down, live in the present, look to joy in our surroundings, and find comfort in reminiscing about times when we felt safe and secure. These shifts have been the key catalysts for change in this year's Dulux Colour Forecast trends for 2025. So as this year's palettes lean towards subdued hues, we have three particular trends to take you through today. So with consumers really looking to refresh their homes, and of course specifiers looking for new inspiration, we can feel assured that one of these three palettes will really be effective in creating positive change in spaces. So welcome to... Sorry, I just have to get to the right screen. Here we go. Welcome to Still, Recollect and Emerge, our three trends for 2025. So let's do a deep dive in our first trend of Still. So in response to current political and social uncertainty, economic equality, and the growing rejection of the speed of modern life, we are gravitating towards a slower pace with a shift towards mindfulness as a way to cope with the daily stresses and an emphasis on being present in the moment. Still reflects slow design with a new appreciation of the beauty in the mundane and the comforting rituals of everyday life, reflecting a broader cultural movement towards sustainability, simplicity, and a renewed appreciation of traditional craftsmanship. Colour palettes are subdued and exude calm, and you can see just from our mood board here, there's some really beautiful neutral colours in this particular mood board, and you can also see that there's lots of texture. So we're certainly seeing that in the overarching theme of Still. So I'm just going to pick out a couple of things on our board here. Certainly the Sancal installation, a lot of these images are from Milan, by the way. The image just on the left in the middle there from Sancal, this is the bench seat, which we saw, which was really interesting because it's sort of reminiscent of how we saw the old train sort of seating, if you like. And it's really fantastic. It's modular, it's flexible, and obviously depending on whether you have, smaller spaces to work with, this sort of furniture works really, really well. Another thing that I wanted to pick out is the Garn, the rug just down the bottom right-hand side there. So this rug is really interesting because it was displayed using lots of materials that are recyclable, and it also it was a new collection that they installed in a space which was designed by Soren Rose, and it was really developed to convey essential values of contemporary craftsmanship, but importantly respect for the outdoor environment. And this pared back design of the stand really allowed craftsmanship and materiality to shine through, whilst their range is focused on natural and recyclable materials. So let's have a look at the colours. So we have incorporated some really beautiful soft neutrals in this palette, and as well our warm white from our most loved. So Antique White USA works beautifully with all of these colours in the palette. And we've also incorporated neutrals in the colour Mellow Beige, Slight Mushroom, which is a really interesting really soft, sort of warm, neutral, got that slight sort of greyish look, if you like. And of course, clay pipe, which I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with. It's a really beautiful, warm, neutral. It's got just that subtle depth as well to it. Our key colour in this palette is actually Studio Cream. So it's that really sort of creamy, got that sort of subtle yellow inference as well. We saw that in a lot of places and on in great volume as well in Milan in particular. And obviously, there's no surprise that this warmth is coming through with consumer sentiment as well. The other colours in the palette, especially in our accent colours, we have incorporated these gorgeous blues in Enterprise and Pacific Spirit. The gorgeous sort of rust brown orange, if you like, in Clay Court. That's a really great colour. It's really subtle. It's got a lot of black in it, which means that you actually, it sort of sits back in a space as well. So it gives you colour, but it doesn't overwhelm, which is fantastic. We also saw just very small amounts of the colour like Flooded Gum, which once again is a warmer sort of grey colour. It has a lot of red in it, so it does have that underlying warmth. And the other thing that we did see was that beautiful grain field as well in accent, which works beautifully with the Studio Cream, but it also works with the blues just as well, and also that gorgeous pesto green, which we saw. Greens were a really big colourways that we saw everywhere in Milan this year in lots of different shades and tones. So our next screen shows you the materials. So let me take you on a little journey through a couple of these. So just on the bottom left there, Aqua Arida, that is actually a gorgeous table that we saw. So basically, obviously, a lot of this comes from nature. A lot of this influence is from nature. And this certainly was. This table was made from ceramic pieces that were celebrated the balance between elements of water and earth, and it appeared like cracked soil in the desert. And it really did. It was amazing, this particular table. Another thing that I would like to talk about is just the top right-hand corner there. We have the El Decor installation, which was absolutely stunning. And they really demonstrated these large, unrefined blocks of stone, but also this beautiful metal. So here we had demonstrated the clean lines of block style form in the kitchen using metal finished with a patina. And this was really stunning. So really, you know, that unrefined look is certainly here to stay. So working alongside Bree Leach, we were able to secure 3 beautiful homes. And this particular home had some gorgeous curved walls, which were always great to highlight colour on. So here we have the 2 colours, Enterprise and Mellow Beige, as our main colour, and Enterprise as our feature, and really showcasing that gorgeous curvature in the wall there as well. On the left there, we are using clay pipe as our main colour on the walls and ceilings, and highlighting Clay Court. And I mentioned about Clay Court before. It has a lot of black in it, so it is beautiful. It sits back. It's very muted. The middle image shows you that slight mushroom. This is a really fabulous colour as well. It just has that subtle warmth to it, so it's got a lot of red in it, and it's really changeable. It changes quite dramatically between light and shadow as well. The bedroom image on the right hand side is all in pesto, both ceiling and walls. One of the good things to reflect upon when we're doing walls and ceilings in the same colour is what it does. It really allows everything to highlight in furnishings and decor, because you sort of, when you're using white ceilings, for an example, it sort of stops the colour, which means that your focus often goes to the ceiling or where the wall meets the ceiling. But when it's all one colour, you can actually just focus on the beautiful elements within that space. This is a gorgeous master bedroom here in clay pipe, and then we've just highlighted the ceiling in Nighthawk. Once again, you know, having that contrast, it really allows that curvature of the wall to be a feature as well. But you can see how well these colours work together, both with those brown undertones and really reflecting lots of texture in that space as well. On the left there, just a different angle of that dining space looking through to that beautiful curved wall in Enterprise. The middle room is a study area, and you can see that key colour in Studio Cream on the walls there with the grain field, that accent colour just on the bulkhead and onto the ceiling. But beautiful combination, those colours, really fantastic for south-facing areas if you really needed that great light reflection. On the right there, another beautiful example of clay court used with mellow beige. It is a stunning colour. It really works beautiful with all those natural textures and natural earth-based colours as well. So when we're looking at schemes, I mean, obviously all of these colours are very natural colours, so they all work beautifully together. So whether or not you're doing, it might be a restaurant, it might be a hotel foyer, you can really have a play with a lot of these colours because they all work so well together, and it doesn't matter what volume you use these colours in either. And not only can you obviously use these colours in paint, but you can really bring textured text or fabrics into the mix. You can bring obviously beautiful stone with some of these colours. There's a lot of ways you can use those colours in different elements as well as paint. So this actually brings us to our second palette, which is Recollect. So let me take you on a little journey through Recollect. So rapid advances in technology have led to a rise of deep fakes and misinformation, leaving us longing for authenticity and certainty as we seek solace in the known. This moody and luxurious Recollect palette embodies this connection to heritage and nostalgia, leading to interiors that feel cozy, safe and familiar. The second-hand influence is also key in this trend, with furniture and decor elements spanning from anywhere from the 50s to the 90s coming through. Whilst older generations may find comfort in the past, younger ones see newness and exciting opportunities to blend classic styles with modern decor, sourcing unique vintage pieces to express themselves in their own eclectic style. So once again, you can see how much more colourful this particular trend is in Recollect versus our first palette is still. Overarchingly, there is a really key colour coming through, and that is in burgundy or wine sort of colours. A couple of things to pick out on this particular board. On the top left, we have that beautiful image from Glass Italia. And Glass Italia had an amazing installation in Milan this year. This Ollie console, shown here in a glossy plum glass finish, features refined and innovative technical and decorative solutions, which are further making glass a desirable material in design. Another thing I wanted to select here is in the bottom right, and that is from Baxter. So Baxter's flagship store in Milan featured a rich colour palette of deep reds and burgundies along with plum hues. Furniture and styling had a distinctive 70s character, with the modular Aura sofa inspired by the conversation pits of that decade. Whilst the ranges evoke eras of the past, they focused on the stylistic elements that are still relevant today. So you never know, those sunken lounges may be coming back. So let's have a look at the colours. So obviously there's a lot more colour and bolder and deeper colour than what we saw in the still palette. The key colour in this is Plum Sauce. You can see in that bottom left, that beautiful deep rich burgundy. We also have the greens, and the greens are really important. So here we've got Zingabar in that sort of yellow base green, of course with the deeper olive in olive blend, that gorgeous light green in tidal green, and our really deep dark sort of green with that hint of blue is Black Water, which is a really interesting colour. Of course, we can't have a nostalgic palette without having browns, and in this particular brown focus, we have Faded Terracotta, which obviously works beautifully with that auburn flare as well. We also have incorporated a warm white in this palette with Whisper White, because we know with these colours, there's a lot, obviously, muted sort of tones, even though these are a bolder colour. And also we still have a lot of brown undertone in these colours as well. We have got accents here in Bananarama, which is the yellow. We also have Grape Shot and, of course, accent of Red Clown. So just that one sort of small volume of Red Clown, it is quite a bright colour, but but of course it really is fantastic to bring attention to in a space in small volumes. So how does it look? So when we're looking obviously at Rec-A-Look from a materials perspective, we are seeing some really interesting textures, but also interesting colour combinations, which is fantastic as well. We're also seeing some really great gloss on furniture and elements. So in this particular case, we had an example at El Decor with those beautiful cabinets there in the top left on the screen. You can see the gloss and how it reflects to the camera in that beautiful gold colour. But they really, with this particular cabinetry, when you're using gloss on anything, it will always, when you're using colour in particular, the gloss will make more of that colour, because obviously the light reflection will really sort of help it come to life, especially in those high reflective colours such as these sort of yellow golds. So if you are wanting to make a real key statement and you're thinking about furniture for a particular design, have a think about using gloss, you know, because it is really beautiful with colour. Another thing I wanted to pick out on this particular materials board is the bottom right-hand image, which was from Rosanna Orlandi gallery, and this was by the designer Alessandro Cifo. So this was called the La Berche table, and it was absolutely incredible. It was a real illusion on the eye. It looked like stone from afar. It really, really did. It was incredible. But when you touched it, it was soft and it was warm. So obviously it was not stone. And it was all made from regenerated silicon using scraps from his workshop. So this is a really fantastic piece of furniture, and obviously it really caught our eye on the day. So once again, here we are at one of the beautiful properties that we were able to decorate. This particular home, we used olive blend on the walls and the ceilings, and then we had black water on just the window frames and the sash. And of course, Zingabar is on the archway as you're moving into the dining space on the right there. So really beautiful, those three sort of greens together and layered with lots of beautiful nostalgic sort of furnishing pieces as well. On the left there, we have that beautiful grape shot colour as our main colour. We have just included that tiny bit of red clown just on the balustrade. You can see it is in quite a lot of shadow. It was one of the last images that we took for that day. But certainly that red clown is quite a bright colour. So if you want to think about it from a feature perspective and really that eye-catching colour, certainly small volumes, it is amazing. The middle image there shows you that gorgeous Zingabar colour with the black water as well. Those two colours work so beautifully together. And it's a really fantastic combination. Obviously, that black water, depending on the light, in this particular case, it was quite a light space. But in shadowed spaces or south-facing rooms, it could look quite dark as well. On the right, you just have a different angle looking back through to that black water just on the window frames there with the olive blend. This bedroom has come to life with that beautiful coral blossom. Coral blossom is a light colour. It is a really beautiful, soft, warm, nurturing colour. But of course, in light, it's got a lot of life to it as well. So it will sort of uplift a space as well. And you can see how well it works with that auburn flare on the ceiling as well. Those two combinations are beautiful. And of course, you know, really bringing in that nostalgic vibe with the mustard drapery and of course the clash patterning on the bed linen there as well. So on the left here, we have that faded terracotta. This is one of my favourite colours. I absolutely adore this colour. It is such a complex colour. It has a lot of different tints and it will really change in shadow versus in light. It's quite a chameleon. And of course here we have just simply used Whisper White on the window frames and Red Clown just on that door, which is the glass door frame there as you walk into that space. So really beautiful colourways together. Middle image just shows you a different angle of that olive blend looking back towards that Zinger bar as well. And those two colours work so wonderfully together. And just on the right, our plum sauce, which is our key colour for this palette, as a main colour on the walls and ceilings. And you can see in the foreground on the arch, we have that beautiful auburn flare. So once again, those two colours work as a dynamic duo as well. So this obviously, because they're deeper, darker tones, you can have a play with these. You know, if you want to keep it quite tonal, you can simply use something like faded terracotta with auburn flare. If you wanted to just use the greens together, you can also just pair that back, just keep it quite tonal. But if you wanted to have a play with contrast, you really can here. A lot of these colours, you know, would be quite an eye-catching sort of feature, whether it's in a restaurant, it might be in a particular foyer of an apartment building. I mean, you could really have a play with this and really bring in lots of textiles in those colours as well. Our final palette today is Emerge. So let me take you on a little journey through this final palette. So providing a renewed sense of hope across our global and local communities, the Dulux Emerge palette is a trend that embraces self-expression, understanding and acceptance. Influenced by shared housing arrangements, skilled sharing initiatives and activities such as clothing swaps that promote altruism and environmental stewardship, interiors can really take on their own eclectic style to celebrate connection. Visually, the trend features soft rounded forms and expressive collections of decor crafted with modularity and curves. These shapes and free-flowing lines add to the light-hearted and whimsical atmosphere of this trend. AI is also used to positively influence imagery and artwork alongside quirky florals and a mix of almost pastels and bolder hues serving as focal points. So a couple of things to look at on our mood board here. There's the Capsule Plaza, which is a middle image on the bottom there. That is an installation by design studio Alaska for Nike, and it featured the sky blue furniture reminiscent of the early fiberglass and plastic creations from the 60s and 70s. And just that little shelf to the top, just above that image by A.A. Donto, that yellow-green shelf, that's actually really interesting. So this new tile brand, A.A. Donto, represented a range by Terahiro Yangihara Studio, featuring the soft green yellow in their new tile range. This collection explores new ways of using tiles as items of furniture and objects of purpose rather than just decoration. So that was really interesting as well. But you can just get a feel for this palette, just how there is almost those soft pastels coming in, but they're just a little bit bolder than a true pastel. So they're more going towards that mid-tone, but they're certainly in that sort of surrealism color or almost that whimsical sort of palette. So here we have the actual colours. We have incorporated that beautiful soft sort of warm white in hog bristle quarter, which once again is quite a complex sort of white. It has a lot of red and ochre in this, and it can sort of move towards a little bit pinkish sometimes and a little bit sort of yellow sometimes as well. The key colour is not surprisingly that yellow-green in cornstalk. We saw that everywhere in Milan, and we certainly have seen it right through our research over the last few months. Other beautiful soft colours, almost neutrals, are Piglet and Lavembrune. Beautiful together, of course, but even if you wanted just to pair those with hog bristle quarter, you can easily do that. The blues we've incorporated here is our colour of New Zealand, Puhoi Half. All of these colours are from our Dulux Atlas. And of course, Justice. And Justice is a really interesting blue because it has that slight purple inference as well. But if you're looking for a blue or actually any colour to help make a space feel larger, like something like Puhoi Half or Tidal Green from one of the other palettes, they're soft blues and greens. They are long wave colours on the colour spectrum, which means we see them last. So they're really good colours to make a space feel larger. So Puhoi Half or Tidal Green are your go-tos if that's exactly what you're wanting to do. Obviously, we're still seeing these beautiful soft mauves in vintage lilac. We can't have this palette. We're having those sort of rich reds in ripe rhubarb, but also terracotta chip as our beautiful accents as well. And I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with clay bake. It's a really beautiful sort of golden colour, but it does have that browner undertone, so it does sit back a little bit as well. And of course, lemon blast we've used a lot throughout this palette as well. So let's have a look. So how does it look from a materials perspective? We're seeing some really interesting recycled materials being remade into, interesting sort of decorative objects, if you like. So a couple of examples here. We have the top left, Dream Stones. This was such an interesting installation. This actually was done by a student, and her name was Chloe Veloso. So she created these dream stones as an experimental work where vegetal dye was added to natural stone to bring unusual colour and, of course, really create those beautiful veins coming through. It almost highlighted them more, creating this fantastical sort of material. It was absolutely beautiful, and it really took our eye when we went to this particular installation. Another thing is just the SMEG stand. That was a really interesting, we're not surprised, obviously we often see colours introduced by SMEG, but in particular these colours this year really sort of sat with this palette well. And another interesting thing from SMEG was that they brought out some beautiful colourways in their air fryers and also microwaves, which is really interesting this year. So they were quite beautiful colours as well, and really sat with those products beautifully. So let's have a look at some of the images. So here we have the scenario above the fireplace there with cornstalk. Really beautiful colours together, obviously still quite tonal, but really reflecting that accent colour well. On the left there, this was walking back into the entry. We have the colour Piglet just on the left there, the Lemon Blast, which is really beautiful. You can see how much more subtle it is in shadow as well. And of course, Terracotta Chip just on the balustrade of that stairwell there. The middle image is one of our favourite sort of combinations. This is Piglet with Lavembrun. And you can really see, just bringing that colour down just adds a little bit of interesting sort of dynamic in that space as well. And having the two colours really does highlight the curvature in that wall, which is beautiful. On the right there, we have the Lemon Blast on the ceiling, which you can see in shadow is much less sort of bright. And of course, on the right, we've got Scenario just on those columns with a beautiful picture window in between. And of course, Terracotta Chip as our main colour, which is just stunning. It's such a warm and rich colour. This image with the beautiful shelving there, we've used Justice just behind those shelves and Puhoi Half as our main colour. These colours are really made to work together. They are beautiful together. They really highlight each other, but not sort of, they certainly don't overwhelm in the space. They still sit back beautifully. On the left there, just another angle with that Terracotta Chip, and you can see we have used the clay bake on that other wall, which those two colours are really gorgeous together, and just hog bristle quarter just on that bench going across too. The middle image there in cornstalk with Lemon Blast on the ceiling, and the beauty of using contrasting colours, or even in this case, I would say these are still more tonal, but because there's a change in shade, you can actually really be really feature that gorgeous curvature in this wall. If you were to do that all one colour, you just would not pick that up the same. So it's a really great little way of adding sort of some emphasis to those beautiful design key elements in a space. On the right, just coming back through that living area into the entryway, you can see how all of those colours work so beautifully together because they're all around that same mid-tone as well. So you can really play, but without overwhelming. So once again, when you see how we can use these colours together, they're pretty flexible, to be honest. So here we can obviously play around with just using those tonal colours. You saw that Lavembrun with Piglet, beautiful. You can add a little bit of ripe rhubarb if you wanted just to add that extra depth in that colourways as well. You can also just, do something like Justice with vintage lilac. That would work just beautifully. And of course, you can have a play with volume here. You know, you can use something like cornstalk in a large sort of expanse and then bring these other colours into more accent or, you know, decorative objects and elements in the space as well. All of these colours are available to you guys in A4 samples. Obviously, we launch officially on the 29th of August, and all of these colours are from the Dulux Atlas, so they're very readily available. And, you know, if there's any particular colours here today, please order away on the Dulux website. They are ready to go. So there we have the Dulux colour forecast for 2025. I hope we've inspired you to use more colour in your projects and with your clients. And obviously, if you would like more information, please go to the Dulux website. There's lots of information on this new launch there. So thank you for your time today.
Massive thanks to you, Andrea, for taking us through the 2025 colour forecast, obviously brought to you by the Institute's major national partner, Dulux. This is, I think, probably, Andrea, what, year 5, 6 of us
I think it is. Yeah, quite
to do this, which is great.
Yes,
so it's good that we can continue the tradition. But so there you have it. Still recollect and emerge the 3 incredible colour palettes from Dulux for 2025. And like Andrea said, if you do want to look at ordering some samples or having a deeper look into each of those palettes which have been presented by Andrea today, do have a look at dulux.com.au/colour forecast. We'll also put some links in this video description as well. But that's it for 2025. We look forward to working with Dulux, and all of you architects out there, please do feel free to go out to the Dulux website. Don't forget that you have your privilege card as well if you're a member of the Institute, so that's another good thing for you. But massive thanks to you, Andrea, for once again joining me on our annual basis to take us through the colour forecast.
Absolute pleasure. Absolute pleasure. Thanks for having me, Michael. That's great. Great to be able to share this.
No worries at all. Thanks very much for watching, and we look forward to seeing you all next year when we do the 2026 colour forecast. But for now, do go and explore and have a great time looking at the incredible colour palettes that are on sale and on promotion for next year as well. Great to see you all. Take care.
Thank you.